5 years ago, I wrote a letter to my anxiety, and it marked a turning point in my relationship with not just my anxiety, but myself. Before writing this letter, I thought of anxiety as an unwelcome guest, something to get rid of, something to chase away. And I think a lot of people can resonate with having this negative perception of anxiety. But shifting our perception is so important because anxiety isn't something that we can fight away or get rid of. It'll always be a part of our lives. In this video, I'm going to talk about how this letter transformed the way I manage my anxiety. And I'll also let you know how you can write a letter of your own. I recently uploaded my #1 advice for soothing anxiety. Thank you so much for all the views, your lovely comments, and for subscribing. I'm so grateful that the video resonated with you, and I hope that this practice also serves as a practical exercise for you. If you try out the letter, please let me know how it went in the comments below. And if you'd like support in soothing your anxiety, check out my online course, Yin Yang Elemental Wisdom for Anxiety Relief. You can access it for free with a 7-day trial on Insight Timer. The link is in the description below. So going back to the letter. Writing this letter completely transformed my attitude toward my anxiety. Before writing this letter, I had a lot of resistance towards my anxiety. And that resistance was a combination of judgment and fear. I was judgmental because I believed that anxiety was a form of weakness. And I was fearful because I didn't know how to manage my anxiety. So when I was resistant, I had this attitude of wanting to cure or fix my anxiety. And I think this only perpetuated my judgment and fear of anxiety because thinking that it's something to fix means that it's wrong or bad. And when I thought that I had to fix my anxiety, I often looked for temporary relief. So sometimes I would binge eat. Sometimes I would read obsessively, or sometimes I would spend the whole day on YouTube. The relief that I was seeking was really a form of avoidance. When I was very resistant toward anxiety and I thought that I had to fix it, I never once thought to sit with my anxiety, to get to know it, to listen to it. All I cared about was, how do I make this go away? I realized that I had completely misunderstood anxiety. I always thought of anxiety as an inconvenience or a burden. I just wanted it to go away. But writing this letter helped me to realize that actually anxiety is on my side. It's trying to protect me, to keep me safe. And of course, at times it can be overprotective, but its main function, its main purpose, is to serve me. This shift in perspective completely changed the way that I manage my anxiety. I no longer thought of anxiety as something to fix, but to soothe. I learned to acknowledge the anxiety instead of choosing to fight it or to run away. And so I began to learn meditation, journaling, and somatic practices so that I could listen and tune in to my anxiety. Listening to my anxiety taught me so much about myself. It showed me how I think about myself and the world around me. It showed me my beliefs of how unworthy and unsafe I feel. And I realized for the first time that I wasn't my friend. I wasn't on my own side. And all of this taught me that actually I don't need a quick fix. I don't need a distraction. I need to work on my relationship with myself. Because I wasn't just fighting and resisting the anxiety. I was fighting myself. So ultimately, this letter helped me to begin the process of accepting myself, accepting the anxious version of myself. Because I didn't want to acknowledge her, and up until this point, I spent most of my time and energy trying to push her away. But anxiety taught me that we can't soothe or heal what we're fighting. The process of managing my anxiety became a very kind and loving process rather than a fearful and critical one. And this really matters because It influences the type of practices and approach that you look for as a way to manage your anxiety. Before, I looked for distractions and quick fixes, but now that my focus was on creating a more kind and loving relationship with myself and my anxiety, I looked for practices that are aligned with that. So writing this letter not only changed my perception of anxiety, it completely changed my approach to how I manage anxiety and how I treat myself. So now I'm going to share with you how I wrote this letter. And there are 2 elements to include, and I think the rest you can make it your own. So the first step is to acknowledge that anxiety serves to protect us. Anxiety evolved with us for a reason, and its primary function is to keep us safe. So the first thing to include in the letter is to express appreciation and gratitude for the ways that anxiety keeps us safe. This may feel challenging, especially if you have a negative attitude or perception toward anxiety like I did, but it'll also be really supportive in helping you to soften and be more compassionate towards your anxious self. So the second thing to include is to think about what's working and what's not. So where does anxiety need to take a step back? So unfortunately, anxiety doesn't know where you actually need protecting and where you don't. So this is an opportunity to check in with yourself and identify those areas in your life where you don't need anxiety to be so overprotective. And in the letter, clearly state where you don't need protection anymore. Tell your anxiety that it's okay, that you are safe, that you don't need so much protection in that area of your life. So this letter basically includes 2 components. Number 1, gratitude, and number 2, setting boundaries, letting your anxiety know, and also making it very clear to yourself where anxiety is no longer serving you. Writing this letter was so meaningful for me because it marked a turning point in my relationship with anxiety and myself. It shifted my perception of anxiety from fear and judgment to gratitude and acceptance. And it taught me that the way we think and feel about anxiety really matters because it sets the tone for how we manage our anxiety and ultimately how we treat ourselves.